Radio Raumstation. 24 hours a day. Yeah. Today with Juha Hintikka, flutist from Finland. Hi Juha. At first, can you let us know how your name is sounding correctly? I would say Juha or Juha or you are, so don't know.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Juha.
Juha, okay.
Actually, Finnish language is pronounced pretty much as it is written. There are no omissions or added letters. You just have to know how we pronounce our alphabet.
That's good to know. Maybe I start to learn Finnish. But we want to know about your music here. So you play mainly flute, I think. Anything else you know to play? And how many flutes or instruments do you have? And how did you come to play?
Yes, my main instruments are flutes and recorders. But I also play saxophones, clarinets, electric wood instruments, keyboards, bass guitar, percussion. I record my percussions for real, not using any sequences. I play also guitar. I've played guitar way much longer than I've ever played flute. My first instrument was recorder. And that was many years ago when I was very young, okay? There are many instruments in my house. A few years ago, a cello player visited us, and Sini showed him our house. And after that, the tour, the guy came to me and said, "I've never seen anywhere so many musical instruments, so maybe we got some."
You said you did start play very young, so what was your age? And did you have music teachers or you learned on your own?
I must have been 10 years old when I began earnestly trying to learn to play the recorder. Before that, some fooling around with different instruments, but no seriousness in that. I've never had a teacher. I've learned all by myself. I've played with good musicians, and they've taught me a lot. In the university, I did study some musicology, but that's theory. Theory and theory.
As concerns how you grew up, Juha, Finland is not this well known to the most of us, and we are not so much familiar with how the people live there and lived there when you had been young. How was life and how important was music to the people in Finland and in detail for your family? Is there any song you composed you would say it's a kind of typical Finnish?
Country with quite small population. And most Finns live in the southern Finland, and there are cities even. I live a bit further north, and here are forests and lakes. I like roaming in the forests. When I was young, my parents were not that interested in music. My father sang in a choir, but that was that. This is a song I composed some 20 years ago, and we recorded that with Hoikkaset Folk Music Orchestra. It's folkish. It may or may not be typical of Finnish music. Pieni Yrjäänä. Little Yrjäänä. Yrjäänä might be a strange name for a boy.
But it sounds so nice in Finnish. So let's hear the song. I cannot repeat the name. We will listen to some Finnish folk music. very impressive music, Juha. Coming to your music history, did you enter a band or did you do some studies in music? You played maybe in an orchestra, or how did your music career went on in younger years?
During my life, I've played in many different bands, and I've played many kinds of different music, from early 17th century up to date. Classical, jazz, rock, dance music, folk music, even punk. I've played music around Finland, rock clubs, concert halls, some festivals, etc. But that was more or less when I was younger. I even did a short Soviet-Russian tour during the 1980s with a band, but that was then.
Must have been a really great time to tour through a country we do not know so well, and especially not at the time when you toured. I would be interested to find out about the stories there, so maybe to do a second interview once. But now let us know the first international collabs you did. Can you introduce this and the people involved?
Thunder-wise, first collaborators with whom I worked were Jenny Jong from New Zealand, Jim Jenkin from America, Kathy Short. Is she from Canada? But earlier, during the 1980s, I played in a band that accompanied blues legend Eddie Boyd. We played a few gigs with him. I've also done some albums with some Polish musicians and some videos with them too. But that's it. Not many international collaborations except this Fando thing.
We know you love to go out in the woods and just take flute and do impro on it. Tell us, what do you feel standing there, and do you listen same time what's around you? Or is it more the feeling coming out of you? Can we hear one of these impro, please, and describe the place you recorded it?
I like playing in the forest. When I go there, I may have my camera, microphone, and a musical instrument with me. I put the camera on, or Cine records me playing. Anyways, I go in front of the camera and just begin to play. I don't think anything. I trust whatever comes. I've played so much. I truly can trust myself. Something comes out of me when I just begin to play. All is not beautiful, meaningful, or anything that is important. Sometimes I fail, but usually I just one recording and that's it. This is an example of me playing little clarinet by the lake Keitele on a very forested island. And this is dedicated to my uncle who passed away a couple of years ago. He was a photographer, a mighty good photographer.
What a lovely impro. We can really see you standing there out in the woods playing. Let us speak about the music influenced you. Do you have famous or well-known idols?
Maybe the most influential musician, especially composer for me, is and was Frank Zappa. If to name just one, he'd be it. But I like jazz, I like John Coltrane. I like flutist James Newton and many different kind of guys. I like modern classical. I like composers like Esa-Pekka Salonen, György Ligeti, Sebastian Fagerlund, etc.
What was the most exciting music event you had been part of until now?
To say just one musical event that is the most important, just impossible. So sorry. There have been so many, and I'm still trying to find new things, new important things. There have been some good bands I've been in. For example, during the 1990s I played in a band with Marian Petrescu, and later on this century he won a Grammy Award. And he's an absolutely fantastic jazz pianist.
What an honor to be blessed playing with someone like that. Really great time, I think. Tell us, Juha, you do music with your wife as well. Sini is her name. I hope it is correctly pronounced. How did you discover that you match perfectly? You had been first in music and then love, or other way round? Can you introduce us a song you did with her, please?
Sini and I have been together ever since we were kids, almost kids. So we've known each other very, very long time. During these years we've played some music every now and then, did some jazz recordings during the 1990s, but I don't know whether this century, for some 20 years we've been recording together. Here's an example. It's fourth part of Seven Dreams Suite, and it's sang as vocalese, so no words. This is way much easier Finnish than the ordinary, usual Finnish language.
another wonderful, breathtaking song, Juha. I want to come back to your collaborations again. You worked with a lot of people like Eva and Mark, for example. How many online collaborations do you have? And tell us the band names, who is in, and what did you do together? Please introduce an example here from one of these bands.
Well, with Vandalism I've been involved in so many international collaborations that I don't even remember all of them. So I just name a few. Eveline, of course, the most important of them all. Mm-hmm. And with his band Zapplepie, Mark Taylor, Glenn Basham, and Peter Murr from Australia, Sepe Mattila from northern Finland, and of course you, Melanie, to name just a few. Here's an example with Eveline, Ain't No Drama.
Excellent music choice in my eyes. What is the most important for you when you do music, Juha?
Important in music to me is that I like it. There's some sort of a feeling it's important. Or it's like modern classical, intellectually challenging. And that's for the listening, and pretty much the same when I try to create my own music.
Juha, what is the oldest flute you play? Is there maybe any historic instrument in your portfolio? Tell us about and let us maybe hear this flute sound in a song.
I have no really old instruments. My oldest flute is an Armstrong, and that's from the 1970s. I bought it as used, not playable anymore. But before that I played recorders, guitar, percussion and even clarinet. My clarinet is pretty old, but that's not that old. But I'd like to introduce something else. My good friend and a great musician, Jori Mäenpää. We've been playing and performing together for some 30 years. Jazz, rock, classical, folk, anything. Here's an example of our band, ImproMusician, this time as a duo, doing a free improvisation for flute and piano. Improvisation number 9.
Wauzi. We say Wauzi in Germany for, let's say, wow. If you could join a famous band, Juha, and play with them, which one would that be, and what would you love to do? Which of your songs, you can let us hear, would come to your mind when you think about this band, and why this song?
Well, at the moment I think I don't have no dreams of playing with anyone. I've had the privilege of playing, recording, performing with great musicians. I don't know whether I have any dreams left. When I was young, I had a dream to play one day with a Finnish jazz drummer, composer, Edvard Vesala, but he passed away, so that was it. But it might be good to play with guys like John McLaughlin, Chick Corea, etc. Well, Frank Zappa was one of my most important influences in music, and here's a band called Peräkamari performing my composition Arka Kontio, Scary Bear. This is some sort of easy listening Zappa rock, jazz rock.
Very nice song, Juha. Did you as well do some kind of performance or live play with theater together, for example, or with dancers, orchestra? And if so, was there any finished production? Means, did you do as well music outside your country, and if so, where?
During my life I've performed in very many different situations, with choirs, in theatrical experiments, orchestras, dance music situations, live karaoke situations, but none of those been abroad. When I travel, I always have my recorder, maybe a little clarinet with me, in Finland or abroad, and I've done recordings around Europe, on streets, in the forest, in a monastery, etc.
That comes to me here as one of the questions I would like to ask you, or ask you if you could do this. You are very well in this improvisation. You love improvisation. We love improvisation too here on Radio Raumstation. And we love surprises. So can you play here and now a small little song when I show you a painting of a thunderstorm?
Yes, of course I can play along with thunderstorm, or a picture of a thunderstorm. Right now, outside, there's sleet, rain and miserable wind. So this is it.
We can feel the weather in Finland now. Lovely improvisation. Thank you a lot, Juha. We are coming already to the last question for today. And we would like to know if you could dedicate one of your songs to someone important in your life. Who would that be and why? And please let us hear this song as a last song of this interview today.
This is a song called Toropainen. Toropainen is my friend, great friend. He lives in the middle of a forest in a little wooden hut. He's a man of peace. The song begins with my son Jive playing heavy metal guitar solo. Then Sini begins to sing about Hitler, Stalin, Mao, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. And I think those are not the good guys. And then it reveals Mr. Toropainen, who's a man of peace.
Oliko Stalin hyvä
What we can learn from this song maybe is that some people have to be a little more humbled and need less power. Would be more peaceful for the world. But we have to say goodbye, and we had been happy to have you here. Thank you for all the stories and information about your music and life. Maybe we do a second interview once, if you agree. Have a good time and rock on.
Many, many thanks. Näkemisiin. See you.
Näkemisiin. See you. My name is Melanie Colley.
Radio Raumstation. 24 hours a day. Yeah.